When I opened my eyes, I expected to see my mother leaning over me with worrying written across her face. Instead, I later learned she had been downstairs, perfectly composed, scrolling through her tablet in the hospital lobby like she was killing time at an airport. The receptionist had politely asked her to confirm the visitor records, and that was when everything shifted. Her expression cracked as she noticed one name repeated over and over, night after night. A name she clearly did not expect to see. I did not witness that moment myself. At the time, I was in the ICU, struggling to sit upright without feeling like my heart would race out of control. But a nurse told me later how my mother's face lost all its color when she realized there was a record. Proof that someone had been there consistently when she had not. Hearing that stirred something deep inside me, something I had not felt in years. It felt like validation, like the truth finally had a voice. My name is Rowan, and I am 29 years old. I work as a 911 dispatcher in a quiet suburban area where everything looks calm on the surface. Even when chaos is hiding underneath, people assume we just answer calls. But what we really do is hold people together in the worst moments of their lives. Ironically, the thing that nearly broke me was not the job. It was my own family. Growing up, my younger brother Logan was always the center of attention. He had charm, confidence, and a future everyone believed in. My mother spoke about his potential like it was something sacred. I was different. I was the reliable one, the problem solver, the person they turned to whenever something went wrong. It started with small favors that did not seem like much at the time, covering a bill here, helping with an expense there. But over time, those favors became expectations. For years, I gave them everything I had without questioning it. Money disappeared from my account as quickly as I earned it. My father needed medical care, Logan needed support for competitions, and there was always some kind of emergency that only I could fix. Every time I hesitated, I was reminded that I was strong, that I could handle it. What they really meant was that I would not say no. The toll it took on me was gradual but undeniable. I stopped taking care of myself. Sleep became optional, meals became irregular, and exhaustion settled into my bones like it belonged there. I ignored the warning signs because I thought I had to keep going. I believed that if I stopped, everything would fall apart. The night I collapsed started like any other shift. I was guiding a caller through CPR instructions, keeping my voice calm while she panicked on the other end. Halfway through, something in my body gave out. My vision blurred, my words stumbled, and before I could finish the sentence, everything went dark. The last thing I remember was someone shouting my name and the sound of my headset hitting the floor. When I woke up in the hospital, the room felt cold and unfamiliar. Machines surrounded me, tracking every heartbeat, every breath. My chest ached, and my body felt weak, like it had been drained of everything. I looked around, expecting to see someone sitting beside me, waiting, but the chair was empty. A nurse named Dana noticed the way I kept glancing toward the door. She introduced herself gently, checking my monitors as she spoke. When I asked about my family, she hesitated just long enough for me to understand the truth before she even said it. They had been there, she explained, but only briefly. 20 minutes, she said, before they left for a trip. That detail hit harder than anything else. While I was unconscious in the ICU, they had chosen to leave the country for a vacation. Logan had a surfing event, something my mother had talked about for weeks like it was the most important thing in the world. And apparently, it still was. Over the next couple of days, I learned more than I ever wanted to know. My condition had been serious. I had pushed myself too far, and my body had finally forced me to stop. Yet despite all of that, my family's concerns seemed limited to practical matters. They asked about paperwork, about what I would be able to do once I was discharged. Not once did it feel like they were truly worried about me. Then Dana mentioned something that changed everything. She told me I had been receiving visits. Every night, someone had come and stood outside my room for hours. He never came in, never disturbed me, just stayed there quietly. The idea that someone would choose to spend their nights in a hospital hallway instead of somewhere comfortable was hard to process. The first time I saw him, he was standing near the glass door, still and patient. I could not see his face clearly, but there was something about the way he carried himself that felt steady. When I lifted my hand weakly, he acknowledged me with a small nod and took a seat outside, as if that was enough. The next day, I asked Dana his name. When she finally told me, it felt like the ground shifted beneath me. It was a name I had not heard in years, a name my mother had always spoken with bitterness. Ethan Vale. The realization that he had been the one showing up every night left me speechless. What shocked me even more was learning that he had quietly taken care of my hospital expenses. While my family had been on a beach somewhere, he had stepped in without asking for anything in return. It was a kind of care I was not used to, and that made it feel almost unreal. When he finally came into my room, he stayed near the door like he was unsure if he belonged there. His presence was calm, unintrusive, and when he spoke, his voice was soft but certain. He said he did not want me to be alone. That simple statement carried more weight than anything my family had said in years. The confrontation came when my mother returned. She walked into my room with the same confidence she always had, acting like nothing had happened, but everything had changed. I asked her where she had been, and her answer only confirmed what I already knew. I was not her priority. When Ethan appeared behind her and calmly referred to me as his daughter, the room fell into a tense silence. My mother's reaction said more than words ever could. In that moment, the truth surfaced, undeniable and unavoidable. For the first time in my life, I stood my ground. I refused to leave the hospital on her terms. I cut off the financial support I had been providing for years. I made it clear that I was done being used. The words were difficult to say, but once they were out, I felt something inside me settle into place. After they left, the silence in the room felt different. It was no longer empty. It felt like space, like air I could finally breathe. I realized that I had spent years trying to earn love that was never going to be given freely. A week later, I stood by the ocean, watching the waves move in and out. Ethan stood beside me, quiet and steady, not demanding anything from me. For the first time in a long time, I felt something close to peace. I used to believe that family was defined by obligation, by sacrifice, by how much you were willing to give. But now I understood something much simpler and much more important. Family is not about who takes from you. It is about who stays when you have nothing left to give.